Good evening, everybody. Now, I'm just a simple man and the current No DQ Wrestling Predictions Champion and No DQ NXT Wrestling Predictions Champion. And my name is Noah Foster, not Noah Rude, despite the mustache. And once again, welcome to another installment of 205 Live Matters, where this week we will discuss, of course, this week's episode, the upcoming European Tour episode, and some thoughts on the brand and where superstars stand both on the roster and outside of it now since the Shakeup, which is still going on, or now is it Wildcard? What the fuck is going on anymore? Jeez. But
Wildcard.
Yeah, something like that. And speaking of which, of course, with me tonight is my great friend. I pretty much think of him as my co-host. He is a family man. He is the holiday Christopher, Chris Mace. Chris, how are you?
Doing good.
Glad to hear, man. Glad to hear, as always. I always wish the best to you and your family. You're a hardworking man. We're just trying to make it. Only got so much time for wrestling. But, hey, with the fact that some wrestling sucks and we know what actually is good, it helps our schedule a little bit because we know what to actually watch or what we want to watch on time versus DVR or fast forward.
Or YouTube.
Monday Night Raw. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyway, why don't we get started? So this marks episode number, I believe, 128, emanating from Louisville, Kentucky. And once again, 205 Live, breaking the norm. It was not about Drake Maverick, it doesn't matter, 205 Live, opening us up tonight. It was, once again, competitors involved in a storyline in a match tonight. It was Maria and Mike Kanellis. So Maria Kanellis welcomes us into 205 Live and basically talks about tonight's main event and what got us here, and how she hypes up her husband being better than Tozawa. And tonight, rules are out the window. It's no DQ. No disqualification match between Akira Tozawa and her husband, Mike Kanellis. So now with Debra and Kendrick barred from ringside, you might have a fair fight. And then both of them worked off each other as Mike Kanellis talks about how 16 years, all he was looking for is an opportunity to prove that he is as good as he is. Next thing you know, Maria comes back in, and now she says, well, this now is going to put your name on the map. And then Mike, of course, closes saying, you know this is no DQ, right? Which means, Akira, you have no chance. And then, of course, we switch now to the other side of this match. Debra and Kendrick and Akira Tozawa. Akira Tozawa not saying a word, stern, evil look like she wants to rip Mike Kanellis' head off. Debra and Kendrick speaks on his behalf, saying that this guy has cost my friend, how many matches has he cost you? Just hold up his fingers. Yeah, that many matches. 2 one-on-one encounters and an opportunity to go to WrestleMania to challenge for the Cruiserweight title. But you think you have the advantage? No. Akira has the advantage because Akira once faced me in a street fight, and I saw that live back in, I believe it was 2017. Incredible bout. The same night as the Championship celebration. Anyway. And basically he says, Mike, I'm going to make this as simple as possible. You're screwed. And then what we get at the end with a dramatic remnant, we just get Kyoto smiling. So what were your thoughts on this opener before the show from both parties?
I like how they're setting up the main event. Like I said, Kanellis, like I said, he needs to be doing more. Hopefully he becomes Cruiserweight champion somewhere down the line. He needs to do something of relevance. Like I said, they've been building him up a little bit. Tozawa, like I said, I've always been a big fan of Tozawa. So, like I said, I just like the seriousness with the Brian Kendrick pretty much going through history. I fought this man in street fight. I know what he can do. I just like how they can go back and recall history. You know, good storytelling. You have to recall the history you've had with these, when you're in these feuds with people, you got to be able to recall history.
Yeah, I gotta be aware of it too. So go right into the show, and we get introduced by our commentary team. Hey, they're back to 3 people. I wonder what happened to David Otunga. Whatever. Probably will be back on kickoff for Money in the Bank. Vic Joseph welcomes us in, and he says tonight we have final main event as heated rivalry finally reaches its final chapter. Hence the storytelling. And then he basically asks each person who they have favoritism. Of course, Nigel says Mike Kanellis, and in English, they work so well off each other. He says Akira Tozawa. So then we get right into the start of our show, our first match. Ariya Davari which makes sense considering that, Tony Nese had his match last week against Drew Gulak, showcasing his skill. Versus, well, we didn't know yet because we go straight into an exclusive, how this match happened, basically, with Tony Nese getting interviewed after his match. And how Gulak always feels like a war. And boy, does it. Gulak is so incredible. For a better 205 Live, future Cruiserweight champion, mark my words.
Yes.
And basically, as soon as he says that, Davari comes in off camera, wearing a Versace jacket and glasses for whatever reason. And he basically says that, last week I could have taken you out, but I didn't. And then we just go off. And then we get the graphic. It's official, folks. At Money in the Bank, it will be Ariya Davari versus Tony Nese for the Cruiserweight Championship. Notice the lack of words I said there, though. And so help me, it does not belong on the fucking kickoff show.
Yep, no kickoff for the Cruiserweight title match. No kickoff show.
True. I mean, who cares? Anyway, going back away from that, we get back into the ring and we learn who his opponent is. What a welcoming surprise, a returning Noam Dar. Last time we saw Noam Dar, he was in NXT UK, and it looked like his knee may have been blown out, recently surgically repaired knee, blown out during a match against Mark Andrews. So, hey, I guess he's okay. Glad to see he's back. And they even called that out to that on commentary. So, what were your thoughts on, first off, Noam Dar returning to 205 Live and this match?
Okay. I like the fact that Noam Dar returns. That makes me feel a lot better that his injury wasn't as serious as we thought it was, because we did the tea party. It was me and Cindy and Stefan and Jared, and we all thought how bad it was and how serious that was when he was wrestling Travis Bagg. So to see that he's already back, that means it wasn't that serious. That's a real good thing, because I know he's had injuries in the past.
Yeah.
This match to me was pretty entertaining at some points. Some points it was like, okay, it's pretty much just him telling the story. Davari looking at Tony Nese. We forgot to even say that Tony Nese came out to do commentary during this match.
Yes, he did.
And Davari seemed like he was more focused on Tony Nese, and you thought, okay, does Noam Dar have a chance to beat Davari? But, of course, Davari did end up getting the win, which was we needed to build him up as a credible challenger. But like I said, the aftermatch where Nese just came inside the ring real quick and startled Davari, pretty much just making reference like going, see, and I was right there next to you, just right there, like I was here, like I could have got you too. So I think that was a good reference to what Davari had said to him previously, and then he actually ends up doing it to Davari and teasing him with it as well.
Yeah, he literally used the exact same words. So mind games 101. And speaking of which, this was basically a match of two stories. You had the main story about the Cruiserweight title picture and the mind games and the dominance of Ariya Davari, and you have the returning Noam Dar. Because if you remember, and I saw this live too, and it was awesome, Noam Dar was really the guy that pushed Tony Nese to the stratosphere when their feud culminated and ended in a freaking street fight. And Tony Nese drove his knee straight from Noam Dar's face through the timekeeper era through a barricade. That was freaking nuts. So the fact that Tony Nese came out here to watch this match, and he has history with both men that really led to his Cruiserweight title reign, was very interesting to me. But you're right. Tony Nese comes out, and he actually is on commentary, so we get a little more insight to all of this, as well as his thoughts on his Cruiserweight title match, and if Ariya Davari is in his head. By the way, what the fuck's with Velcro on the titles? Is this becoming the new thing? This is stupid. Thank God the belt I got has freaking fasteners. I don't care if it is only $400. Shoot. At least it feels like an actual belt. I'm not getting some Velcro accessory. That's stupid. Anyway, sorry, nitpicking, but it's what I do. By the way, following this, during Tony Nese's way coming out to the ring, we also learned that next week when they go to London, he will be facing Ligero, which should be very interesting considering that will be the go-home episode before Money in the Bank. So, obviously, I feel like Tony Nese has to win here. So, we'll get more into that later. And yeah, I thought this was a very nice match. It's a nice feeling out process as usual, and then there was like a whirly bird backslide combination into a pinfall. He did it like 7 times. That was ridiculous. Vicious drop kick, and then Davari, he gets distracted by Tony Nese, once again trying to play mind games, but like Tony says, you should not be focused on me, you should be focused on the ring. To his credit, he was right, but nope. Ariya Davari, he capitalizes and drives Noam Dar face first through the table. And basically following that, he goes for a submission, the $1 Million Demon Trent attempt a couple times. Noam Dar fights out of it. We get a pinfall. Davari attempts to play even more mind games. He did this like 2 or 3 times during the match. And then we get a nice inside cradle move. And then Noam Dar sidesteps him on what I believe he was going for like a cross body off the ropes. And then following this, Noam Dar, he regains control. We get a flurry uppercut into a Northern High suplex combination. Beautiful follow-up on that. And then we get what I did not know it was called this, the Nova Roller, that setup knee strike he goes for. Flying knee strike. Well, apparently, nope, Ariya Davari was aware of it. He moved out of the way, and that got in the cover attempt. And then we get a vicious ankle lock from the submission specialist, Noam Dar. Surprised they didn't go for the knee bar. And following this, we get our hammerlock lariat attempt. Ariya Davari's finisher. Nope, countered into another ankle lock. I believe the same ankle, too. And then we get a roll through again into a vicious super kick. Ariya Davari's got a mean super kick. Mad respect to him. He must have been taking lessons from Shawn Michaels. I don't think Davari, his brother, did super kicks, but I could be wrong.
No, I don't think he did.
Yeah. And then following this, we get our big Persian splash, they call it, followed up with the hammerlock lariat combination. He wins 1, 2, 3, remains undefeated, continues to build momentum. But again, the other story told in this match, mind games. What happens afterwards? Tony Nese comes in the ring, and like you said, uses his own words against him. I could have done something, but I didn't. Ariya Davari seemed frustrated and frazzled, and commentary even asked him, is Ariya Davari in your head? Tony Nese says, no, he's not. And I'm ready to take on any threats. He also referred to the former champion, Cedric Alexander, about giving him advice on being a champion and continuing to build this brand brick by brick by brick. I think that was a definite example of that, with Noam Dar returning and this match unfolding. So, yeah, we'll see what happens as far as the conclusion to the build of this. But I'm very curious to see what will be the outcome of Tony Nese versus Ligero. And if Ariya Davari tries more mind games. So far, it's stalemate, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's stalemate right now. I'm more interested now to see how Tony Nese goes up against Ligero. That's going to be a very good match and a unique match to me. So I'm ready to see that one next week.
Indeed. Considering Ligero, I think he could use the momentum because his run in NXT UK has been kind of a roller coaster lately. We don't know which way he's going.
Yeah, it could go. He wins one, loses one, wins one. That's where I said, don't do the 50-50 booking. Don't be like the main roster. I said, dude, that'll drive everybody crazy. 50-50 booking again.
Yeah, Control-C, Control-V. Aha! Like, we got enough of that this week with freaking Wildcard. What a genius! Shut up. Anyway, so following this, we get an interesting backstage segue into Oney Lorcan, bringing up his loss from 2 weeks ago. But he says how he's been dealing with adversity pretty much his whole life. And he says he's going to work harder, train harder, fight harder. And next time he will not let this opportunity pass him up. He will become Cruiserweight champion. So obviously he's still playing a key part in the brand. And I'm curious to see where he goes from here. I feel like the whole Oney Rules thing just went out the window when 205 Live lost 2 of its biggest players. I guess he's trying to be the next great big face. So we'll see. What are your thoughts?
Like I said, Lorcan's a beast. I'm ready to see what else he can do. Yeah, he's had some wins, he's had some losses, but like I said, I think he's somewhere down the road is going to be a future 205 Live Cruiserweight champion. Pretty much simple as that, as you would say.
Very well, brilliant. All right, so moving on from here, yeah, you're right. We actually got 3 matches on this show, so this tells me they're really trying to develop the brand, or I don't know. It felt like odd, but yet I still really thought this show was well paced. Even with this squash, the Singh brothers versus David Kaufman and Kevin Lee. No relation to Keith Lee, I'm pretty sure. And basically, we get a few things here. We get volley. We get enough volleys where if you had an alcoholic drink after each time you heard volley, you'd be dead. And we get Nigel McGuinness hyping up the Bollywood brothers, saying they were distracted, okay, the Bollywood movie got delayed. And then they talk about how, oh, yeah, we're on the same week in the biggest movie in history, Avengers Endgame came out. Oh, movie, by the way. And yeah, and then Nigel talks about, oh yeah, they went 2 years undefeated. I'm like, you can't say they're undefeated if they only have one match in 2 years. I can't accept that. I can't accept that. They're not worthy. And the fact that Nigel compared that to practically Asuka, that's embarrassing to me. Good grief. This was goofy Nigel at his finest, which is the only reason why I tolerated this. Because he's not overexposed or annoying as freaking Corey Graves. But anyway, yeah, what was this match? Let's see. Dual suplex, chops, bale, knee thing, tag team combination. They win. And then they challenge the Lucha House Party again in a rematch. Chris, your thoughts on the Singh brothers in general?
I'm glad, like I said last week, I'm glad they're back on 205 Live. I'm glad they're away from Jinder Mahal and are actually doing something of relevance. Like I said, they were just really over the top tonight. So it's like, okay, maybe it's a little different for 205 Live. I can deal with that, something different. But it's just like, oh, Lord, can y'all just, like, stop? I mean, you're wrestling jobbers. So it's like, okay, you're not really building any credibility. You're not beating anybody that's really credible. So it's just like, okay, yep, you did your moves, okay, volley. Like, so we could have made a drinking. We'd all be completely drunk by now. And other than that, it's like, okay, you got to win, good. You're building up some momentum. You know, if you got another couple more matches where you're wrestling jobbers trying to build some momentum, then let's see what y'all can do when you actually got to wrestle actual members of 205 Live matters and see how y'all do then.
Yeah, I was about to say, considering they're a tag team and the only right now real tag team is the Lucha House Party, unless they wrestle the Lucha House Party in like 3 or 4 or all 6 different combinations you can do, there really is no other tag team for them to wrestle, so something has to give.
Yeah.
You can't just have them face Lucha House Party, then Jobber, Lucha House Party, Lucha House Party, then Jobber, then Lucha House Party, for nothing in return, by the way, too. Because again, there's no other tag teams outside these two, and there's no tag team titles either, because you don't have a big enough division.
No, not yet. Hopefully here next year or so they do, so they can have those cruiserweight tag titles.
If not sooner. Boy, they. Yeah, Bale. What's really funny to me is the fact that Nigel McGuinness is all behind the Singh brothers. But you look at NXT UK and Amir Jordan, he can't stand that.
Yeah.
Bangla. So apparently Bale is better than Bangla if you're Nigel McGuinness. Okay, I see how you roll. Good grief.
Surprised he didn't get up there and start dancing with them. Ollie.
I mean, he did say he was fixing to stand up. Of course, we were off camera. I wouldn't be surprised if he did that.
God let us know.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on from there, we go backstage to Maria Martinez about to head to the ring. And then, of course, we get Drake Maverick, who basically, Maria thanks him for banning the Brian Kendrick from ringside because we must respect the integrity of the match. And as they're about to go to the ring, Drake Maverick's like, where you going, Maria? Because didn't you just say this? You're right. We need to respect the integrity of the match, which is why you are also banned from ringside. I was like, I knew that had to come. There was no way they were going to have one side banned versus the other. But
yeah, there's no way.
Waited till this moment right before he went out to the ring to do it. That was brilliant. And he's like, enjoy your night off. And then going from there, we get a advertisement to what we can expect the main event next week or another match. I don't know if Tony needs a main event or not. UK, it's weird. Anyway, we get a fatal four-way match set up between Mark Andrews, Jack Gallagher, Humberto Carrillo, and one half of the grizzled young veterans and ex-UK tag team champions, James Drake. But following from there, we get Cheryl Schreiber. I see her on 205 Live, backstage correspondent, interviewing the returning Jack Gallagher, who I guess his mustache is all fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Gallagher says, what's on the line? My respect, my pride, my place on 205 Live. I'm just gracious, though, to be competing, and that my mustache is okay. And then basically he gives a brief breakdown of each competitor. The high flyer, the grizzled brawler, and as soon as he was about to say Humberto Carrillo, who comes in off screen himself, and he says, I'm glad you're okay. So now I can beat that mustache off your face next week. And then we get shades of what you think might be, sour, vinegar, steel keelish Jack Gallagher. But then he's like, you can try. And we get a gentleman's handshake. So, Chris, What are your thoughts on Jack Gallagher before we talk about the Fatal 4-Way? Do you think he's turning back to face?
I would hope so, but then, like I said, I don't want him to be a tweener. Those tweener roles can kind of get aggravating after a while. Either be a clear-cut baby face or a clear-cut heel, pretty much. Like I said, I want him to be a baby face, so I see him being one. I hope so, but highly unlikely. I see him still being a heel. I see him being more ruthless and aggressive in the next in this Fatal 4-Way matchup. So I think he's going to be more heel in that one and just still be a heel for right now.
Okay. So speaking of that match, yeah, Fatal 4-Way, Mark Andrews, Jack Gallagher, Humberto Carrillo, and James Drake. I mean, James Drake and Mark Andrews, this is basically Worlds Collide. It's NXT UK versus 205 Live. The only real rivalry we got going into this, or our friendly competition as they call it, is Jack Gallagher and Humberto Carrillo, which is why I think you're right. It makes sense for Jack Gallagher to still remain heel. Plus the whole ratio of heels versus faces on 205 Live, it's still very unbalanced. But with that, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who do you see winning?
The gentleman.
You see the gentleman, huh? Okay, Who you eating the fall?
This is where I'm thinking he's going to stay heel. He's going to pin Alberto.
Nice. And then that would probably lead to a one-on-one bout between the two or a storyline to unfold. What's very curious is where Drew Gulak will stand in all this. Is he going to confront Jack Gallagher or Humberto Carrillo? Is he going to go out and find somebody else to see if he can tell them how you can be part of a better 205 Live? No mention of him at all, nothing. So I'm very curious where he stands. I'm pretty sure we won't see him until probably after Money in the Bank, but I'm hoping for bigger and better things for him. And yeah, as far as my pick, James Drake and Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews I could see being believably winning here because he has been on 205 Live before. It could elevate him into the title picture. He and Tony Nese could have a great match. Not that I'm saying that Tony Nese is my official pick to win Money in the Bank yet. But as far as who wins here, I'm actually going to go with Mark Andrews, and I'm going to say the guy to eat the fall because of the whole feud he might have with Humberto Carrillo. I'm going to say he pins Jack Gallagher because as much as I want to believe he could pin James Drake, I don't want to see Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster face the Grizzly Run West for the NXT UK Tag Team Championships. I just don't believe they can win.
No, I don't want to see that either. I don't think anybody wants to see that.
And honestly, I don't think I honestly think that team should just completely diminished. And that's just my honest opinion. All right, so with that, we got our main event. Holy cow. Like I said, the beauty of 205 Live, when it comes to closing a story, they know how to do it. Chris, your thoughts, your moments, your points, your overall analysis of this incredible main event.
Okay, this is a prime example when you take a mixture of a no DQ match, have the hardcore style, and have the cruiserweights all working, all doing everything right at the same time. It's a perfect example of that. Would have been in ECW in '95 when it was Rey Mysterio versus Psychosis. When they did the exact same way. They would have worked that match here in 2019 with these two. They worked everything great. They had the trash cans. They had the steel chairs. They were doing all the high flying, but they were also still with all that. They were still telling the story of this heated rivalry, and they kept it going. I like the Michinoku driver that Kanellis did onto Tozawa. I like the teasing how you would think Tozawa was going to hit a senton on through the table on Mike Kanellis, and he got away. Just like I said, this was really good storytelling. I liked the spot when they were getting ready on the ropes, and he had him on the corner, and he's getting ready to put him through the table, and they're fighting back and forth, and he looks like he's going to hit some kind of Death Valley driver through the table on Tozawa, but then Tozawa turns it around to a Hurricanrana.
Out of nowhere.
Like I loved it. I loved it when he got that. He knew he had to do something different to put him away because he had to do something. So he put those chairs on him, put him back in the ring, put the chairs on him, hit his finish. That was a damn good ending. I like how the ending where Brooke's coming out there and she's just checking on him, and the Brian Kendrick's coming out there. He's celebrating because he knew he's fought him in a street fight. He knew he could do it. He knew he could beat him. I think the only criticism I had, I feel like Tozawa's already been established. He's already been a cruiserweight champion before. My only criticism was I think Mike Kanellis should have won to build him up some more, but it was a very good ending to the match.
An absolutely incredible match. And you're right. I mean, I got a whole page worth of notes here, but you already took like some of the key spots. And yeah, this is how you close a freaking feud and storyline. This is how you use a gimmick match, and this is when a gimmick match is supposed to be used. And it did not let up for a moment. It was hot from the start, literally. I mean, both men get in the ring. Akira Tozawa, he is just full of aggressive nature. And as soon as both men get in the ring, what happened? They just beat the daylights out of each other. We go outside of the ring, and freaking Mike Kanellis gets rammed headfirst into the LED board by Akira Tozawa. And then we get basically an iron octopus on the outside of the ring. Of course, pinfall submission had to occur on the inside of the ring. That was the only rule here. And Mike Kanellis, he basically counters out of it into our first spot that basically played throughout the entire match, selling the story of Akira Tozawa and how he came up for victory. A nasty side slam on the diamond steel plate on the ramp. That thud. Ouch. And then following this, Mike, he goes for toys. He gets up chairs. He gets table. And then he goes back in on Akira Tozawa and basically beats the daylights out of him. He gets another table, then goes back for Akira Tozawa and slams him on the floor. And then following this, we get a nice Hurricane Rana, and then we get our first suicide headbutt attempt, one of Akira Tozawa's signatures, diving headbutt, suicide attempt. No, this is how well they know each other. Mike counters into a beautiful super kick, catches him out of midair. Massive pop from the crowd and from the commentary. And then following this, we get a single suplex, and then we get basically a switch battle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who's going to suplex who? Akira, no. Mike, no. Akira, no. Mike, no. I think I counted 10 switches here until finally Tozawa suplexes Mike onto 2 steel chairs that Mike set up himself. Following this, we get a Shining Wizard follow-up while the replay is going. And then Mike, he goes over the announce table, now just saying, hey, Vic, I think I just saved your life. And maybe he did. And then we get basically a beatdown again. And then, like you said, Trash Can comes into play here. First one of the match. And basically, he sets it up on Mike Kanellis, who's just standing up. He must have really been groggy, or he just knew it was coming. I'm surprised he didn't, fall over or move to the side or duck or walk out of the way, because I don't know what Akira's thinking here either. I've always said nobody wins in a headbutt. This is the definition of it. Suicide headbutt dive into Mike Kanellis' face first while he's covered with a trash can. What were you thinking? Anyway, following that, we get a missile dropkick follow-up into our first cover of the match. Nothing special. Then we get basically spin around kick, slide through combination into a beautiful fireman's carry after Akira Tozawa breaks a trash can in the ring. You can already tell they were selling I'm exhausted, because it took Akira 2 times to throw the can over the top rope, despite the fact it's a heavy metal steel can. I understand it's heavy, but it's usually they do this like nothing. And then we get that spot you're talking about. Mike Kanellis counters it into a crazy Michinoku driver, once again working on Akira Tozawa's back. Akira Tozawa goes back first into the trash can. And then we get a cover. And nope, still not really enough. Following this, we get a chop fest. We get kicks fest. There's one of my favorite moves, of course, for Akira Tozawa, that fake out jab. And then we get an exchange of kicks. I believe it was 4 of them, including a super kick. And then we get Tozawa with a snap German, known to have one of the most beautiful snap Germans in the business, into a bridge for our very first near fall of the match. Well, maybe second, because that trash can was close too. And then we get Akira Tozawa. This is the one flaw I have with Akira Tozawa. His finisher. It is super effective. Only if he hits it. It takes forever for him to build it, because he has to go to the top rope. And now he's working with, allegedly, a damaged back. That takes you even longer. He needs to fit. I was hoping he really could come up with an alternative finisher or something like that, but nah. Anyway, he goes for his senton bomb, but instead he eats a vicious right hand thrown by Mike Kanellis. And then we get both men on the apron, duking it out for control. They're sharing forearms and exchanging kicks. And then Tozawa, another Saito suplex to Mike Kanellis, who stands straight up afterwards and then just falls over. Nasty impact on the apron. The hardest part of the ring. Thanks, Michael. Anyway, second attempt for the senton bomb. After he sets up Mike on the 2 tables, again, takes too long. Mike rolls off. Now, back when I saw the street fight between the Brian Kendrick and Akira Tozawa, he actually was able to pull this off and crash through the Brian Kendrick through a ring that led to the victory. Then again, that was false count anyway, I believe, too. But anyway, following that, Mike, he rolls off the table, and Tozawa eats another super kick. If it wasn't for that mouthpiece, I'm pretty sure he would have been knocked out. Surprised it did not fall out of his mouth. Basically, Akira, he's laid on the tables now, and as you said, Mike, he slowly goes up to the top rope because his back's aching. It was a story of whose man's back's in the worst shape and who wants it more. Who's the better man? Out of nowhere, though, pop up Akira Tozawa with a freaking strike, and we get a fireman carry into a freaking Tozawa Super Hurricane Rana that drives both men through the tables. Mike Kanellis getting the worst blunt of that, I believe.
Oh, yes.
Gosh, that made me literally go, oh! And again, the crowd got hot for this. They said, this is awesome. And then following this, you're right, we finally get our finish. Slow to build, but he pulls it off. 3 chairs stacked on top of Mike Kanellis, and Akira Tozawa, he builds for it, goes up, and he literally used his own body, risked his own body, but made sure it ended. Top rope senton bomb on top of Mike Kanellis, while 3 steel chairs on top of him, and he pins Mike Kanellis, closing the book on this feud. 1, 2, 3. And Maria comes out concerned and picks up her husband. The Brian Kendrick comes out to celebrate. What a freaking incredible, brutal main event. Damn! Best match I've seen so far this week, up to this point before NXT and NXT UK. That was freaking phenomenal. No pun intended. Absolutely loved it. And they also bring up the point now, you would think now this probably puts Akira Tozawa in title contention. I wonder if we're going to get Akira Tozawa versus Oney Lorcan down the line, or the winner of the Fatal 4-Way versus Akira Tozawa down the line for a Cruiserweight title opportunity, or a triple threat. Bottom line, though, this feud's done, and I'm glad this was the culmination of it. Absolutely incredible match. Woofa. So, let's see. Rating the show. You had an unbelievable main event and closing to the story. You had a nice opener that focused on the Cruiserweight title and building the title match more for Money in the Bank. And you're building you're building wrestlers for their wrestling, and yeah, they're over the top, and it was funny, and it works for them. And we know what to expect to an extent next week. 2 great matches. This was a really stellar, well-built show. 4.5 for me. Chris, what about you? How would you rate this week's episode of 205 Live?
Okay, if it was just the main event, I would have given this the main. I won't say this. I'm gonna give the main event a 5, which is the first one I've ever done, because I think this is well done. Where you a cruiserweight match, like I referenced earlier. ECW did it right with Rey Mysterio and Psychosis, and here it is, 2019. They must have watched that match or did their recipe with that, because they did this match perfectly. They did the storytelling. They did the right amount of wrestling, high-flying stuff. They did the right amount of hardcore wrestling, and they did it perfectly to tell the story, to end the feud, to show the rivalry. Now, for the rest of the show, like I said, I liked the opener. There was like hits and misses with the opener, but I liked the after the match with Tony Nese, reverse psychology on Davari. Said the middle match was like, all right, Bali. So the whole show, I'll give it 4.5. I'll agree with you. I'll give it 4.5, but like I said, that main event deserves a 5 easily. Like I said, that main event, hopefully, in my opinion, is one of those few. If you had a top 10 for match of the year, I put that right now in one of my top 10 matches of the year.
Wow, that's really saying something, considering everything 2019 has delivered for us and what I've seen, including from our promotions with these gimmick matches. Thinking about G1 Supercar, for example, where you had a 6-way street fight. That was a hell of a lot of fun to watch. And Flip Gordon, glutton for punishment. Man, that was brutal. But, yeah, man, major respect to, again, 205 Live, constantly delivering. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and get into some simple stances. So I reached out to actually someone on Twitter, and shout out to this guy. He calls himself the infamous DJ Storms. And, folks, just go look him up and go follow him. I'll have his tag down in the description below. He proposed the following, and I want to start with you on this. Shows. You have Triple H, who's working with a depleted roster, versus Vince McMahon working with a stacked roster. We look at the locker room etiquette. We look at the booking. We look at the talent. We look at the storytelling. in my opinion, Triple H is hitting on all strides, not just on 205 Live, but in everything he's doing. And I'm very much looking forward to that Triple H special I saw on the network coming up about Creator and Destructor happening after NXT TakeOver 25. If you saw the exclusive, he even talked about NXT TakeOver 25. He acknowledged how NXT Arrival wasn't necessarily the first TakeOver, but it led towards the first TakeOver. He respects what actually brought us to this dance. He doesn't make us forget it, but he also doesn't retcon it. So, Chris, I guess my question to you is this. Who do you agree with more, Triple H or Vince?
Triple H, because he's a student of the game. Pretty much, like I said, he worked his way up. He was from that old school mentality. He worked his way up through the independents. He worked his way up. He was in WCW for a year. He had a horrible gimmick there. I said, we all remember Terror Rising. We all remember that.
Ah, jeez.
Okay, he worked his way up. He was there for WCW for a year. He went to WWF at the time. He was the arrogant, snobbish British heel. So he had some success. He had some success. He broke out. Like I said, whether people give him grief because of the fact he married Stephanie or not, who cares at this point? But that's history. Like I said, he became very successful as a wrestler. He's probably in the top 10 in WWE history as top wrestlers there, period. And like I said, as he's winded his career down, he's been such a student of the game where he took the initiative. He wanted to build this performance center, get this started, because he wanted to build a farming system and a training center to get all these wrestlers ready for WWE. He did all this. He worked on all this. He's been from the ground up building that. He has built NXT, where it's now expanded to NXT UK. And since now that he's taken over 205 Live creatively, you can see the differences between his idea of what 205 Live should be compared to what Vince's would be. So the answer to the question, in my opinion, is Triple H. So said he can do more. He does more with less. Vince has so much talent on the main roster on Raw and SmackDown, and it's just like such a point where this week I worked so much, I only watched the last hour of Raw and the last 30 minutes of SmackDown, and it was like, okay, I got excited about the main events. Other than that, I was like, okay, what else I missed? Listening to Aaron Rich review, I was like, oh, that's what I missed. I didn't miss anything exciting. Oh, well, okay, that would have been boring. I fell asleep. So yeah, Triple H has his pulse on pulse on everything right now. He is a student of the game, and that's where the big difference is between Vince and him. Is Vince was never really a wrestler. He did it here and there in storylines, but he was never really a wrestler going up and down the roads constantly doing all that. So he's always been a promoter. And there's a big difference between being a promoter majority of time and being a wrestler occasionally than being a wrestler majority of time and learning how to be a promoter and learning how to build and how to tell stories and everything like that. And Triple H has a great understanding of that.
Right. And he actually fully understands this too because, again, like you said, he's experienced in this. He's talked to the legends. He's talked to the voices. He sees what we want as fans. He sees what wrestling has become. He sees what wrestling should be. He sees what we want wrestling to be. You talk about global localization. You talk about other NXT brands, NXT Japan, NXT Australia. Heck, why not? I'd be up for it. But the bottom line is this. NXT is not developmental. It is literally a third brand. It's its own brand. If you look at Wednesdays alone and the 3-hour power block of 205 Live, NXT and NXT UK, if that was on every Monday night, you probably would have tremendous viewership. Now, I know some people are going to greenhorn like, oh, it doesn't matter. They're making money globally. It's just domestically where they're hurting. Well, maybe you should figure out the domestic market. Sure, you don't care about selling out arenas anymore, except WrestleMania. Good for you. You still can do that. But if you saw the photos of SmackDown Live, for example, it's getting worse and worse. You need to focus on your local culture here because that's what got you started. And Triple H obviously realizes that. He said he's wanted to do one in Connecticut for a while. He wanted to do one near home base. And I was looking at some of the comments of his video, and people are like, give this man the company. Triple H is the future. Thank you, Triple H. Finally, you're bringing something entertaining to Connecticut. Now, considering how many times Raw and SmackDown have been in Connecticut, that's saying something too. But the bottom line is this. Triple H knows how to do more with less. Simple as that. The biggest example, what's the one thing out of Raw or SmackDown Live that's the most interesting right now, has people thinking the most? Firefly Funhouse. Guess what? It's not a Vince project. It's a Triple H project led by actual appropriate writers and Undertaker influence. When
Yep.
Triple H has his button on something, he knows how to do it right.
Yeah, and then bring up something you just said too. They talk about how they're doing good overseas. WCW did great business overseas. TNA did great business overseas. Okay, doesn't mean you're going to continuing to be completely successful worldwide if you're struggling domestically.
And think about this. They're going to Fox, okay? They're going to Fox with SmackDown Live. If Fox expects SmackDown Live to reach a certain viewership on a constant weekly basis and WWE fails to uphold that, that's only going to hurt them in the long run. Not only are you going to lose money on that deal, you're risking partnerships too. I mean, I'm not an expert in business. I leave that to Virtue, and even then, he just criticized all of us smarts and trolls everybody. Go follow him, folks. Virtue. Hashtag fire Virtue. Crazy fool. But anyway, like I said, Triple H is what's best for business. It's not just a slogan he says. He puts everything he wants to in this business because he cares about what we want. I really wonder, like, okay, you had the match with Batista at WrestleMania. Was that really something you wanted? Was it something Vince really wanted? Was it something Batista really wanted? Who truly wanted that? I mean, Triple H, he went vindictive and sadistic. Triple H seemed thank you. So, I mean, that match, for example, we don't know where that stands. And then you think about Super Showdown where you had Triple H and The Undertaker again. Did we really need that? No, we didn't. And then you had DX return at the other show that I'm not going to mention. And it was just, oh, by the way, right now, I'm on point. I'm not watching any Saudi shows. F that. I'll watch Ring of Honor before that. But anyway, to finish this ramble, the bottom line is this. Triple H knows how to be creative to a point the fans can understand, follow it, and gain interest in it. It's not about just being there. It's about us looking for it. In wrestling today, it should be a focus more about look for this. Oh, it's just here. You want to see it? See it when you want. Do you actually care about it, though? Investment versus acknowledgement, people. That's what separates Vince McMahon from Triple H creative direction. And by the way, one last thing, because you did say 205 Live I'm going to pretend that never existed because of a certain superstar, but I will say this, in the early days of 205 Live, because I was reading articles about it, they did have some stellar matches, but I only think that's because the talent was able to do what they wanted to do, because again, the show's on their network, and Triple H originally had this spot. He just didn't have full creative control over it. Now that he does, 205 Live has been stellar every week.
I mean, you can see the difference when it's Triple H mainly in charge compared to when it's Vince has his ideas of what he wants to do with stuff. You can clearly tell the difference between the two.
I got one word for you. Opportunity. You remember when SmackDown Live was held at the Land of Opportunity back in the actual brand split in 2016? And for a while it actually was. That's because Triple H had more creative control over that. And now we're merging the two because Vince McMahon sees the ratings drama and is like, I'm a genius. This will work. It's not. SmackDown Live is no longer the Land of Opportunity. You want to know what the Lands of Opportunity are? 205 Live, NXT, and NXT UK. There's a reason why Tyler Breeze only wanted to wrestle on main event, but now he's going to be back in NXT, according to what I read. There's a reason why Killian Dane is back on NXT, according to what I read. There's a reason why Alexander Wolf is in NXT UK, according to what I read. Hashtag spoiler free. But I heard that he's going back to NXT UK. I can't wait to see how that comes out. Let's send Nikki Cross back to freaking NXT because they aren't doing anything with her. Hell, I'd like to see her face Shayna Baszler again. Where is Nikki Cross in this? She's nowhere to be found in the freaking brand split. Is the brand split done? Are they still figuring out superstars? Is Wildcard the new superstar shakeup? Is Wildcard the forever superstar shakeup? What the hell's going on?
Bring sanity back to NXT. Do something. Like I said, if these guys are not successful from going from NXT back to the main roster. They did it with Emma, for example. Okay, she wasn't doing much after Santina Morella got hurt. They put her back down to NXT. Her work a little bit longer, do there. Then they brought her up again. Unfortunately, her career never really took off. But however, they example them bringing somebody back, like they brought Tyson Kidd. Think about it. They brought Tyson Kidd back to NXT.
Yep.
For a while, he main evented a fatal four-way for the title.
There's a reason why the locker room etiquette of the main roster and some people there is unhappy. There's a reason why Rhino, for example, didn't resign. He was unhappy, as I listened to in a Chris Van Vliet interview. There's more to this business than money, people. Ethics should matter. And Triple H at least believes in that, courtesy of NXT, NXT UK, and 205 Live. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and do a superstar spotlight to end the night here, unless you have something else before after this. Ariya Davari. Ariya Davari is probably one of the most underrated wrestlers, I believe, on the 205 roster. He's one of the originals, and for a long time, he really didn't go anywhere. He was part of that faction, and then for a while, he was just basically someone's like manager or mouthpiece, really. And now he's finally getting his moment, it seems, to really showcase himself, be himself, and get the opportunities he deserves that he earns. Because again, opportunity is earned, not given on 205 Live, NXT, and NXT UK. Go figure. Well, you know, qualifying matches, opportunities earned, actual storylines, wrestling matches that matter, wrestling championship matches that matter, something credible to actually look forward to and believe in. I wonder where that could really happen to help boost stuff. Gee, I wonder. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Ariya Davari as far as his evolution?
I'm glad he's involved. Like I said, he was an interesting character. I liked his wrestling. I've never been the biggest fan of his, but I like how what they've done with him recently. Like I said, I'm glad he got the win tonight. Like I said, it wasn't a win where he stole a pinfall or just some fluke that he won. They're actually building him up to be a credible challenger to Tony Nese, and that's what the difference is too. They can build these guys up. And like I said, even in defeat, if they keep them strong, they can keep them later down the line for future opportunities and future storytelling as well. And I think that's what the biggest difference with 205 Live. Somebody could lose, and they can be built back up relatively quickly. Where if you on the main roster and you build somebody up and they lose, and it's like, oh, they're back down tolling pole, and you'll never see them. Like R-Truth, for example, he won a U.S. title in, I think it was 2010 or 2011. He beat The Miz when Bret Hart vacated it.
Yeah.
And he didn't win another title again until just this year.
Yeah, he's a veteran. He's been in the game for years. Think about the time, how long it took her to win a women's championship, and then she lost it a few months later. It's just, they're not using them right. It's like, okay, you fall off the wagon. You're gone. You're oblivious. There's still people at the freaking Superstar Shakeup. We don't know what they're going to do and where they're at. As far as Ariya Davari, I completely agree. And you're right. He hasn't done, no cheap victories yet. He's literally earned an incredible victory. Now, if he becomes Cruiserweight champion, I can see him pulling off those type of sticks once in a while because that's what you expect from a heel. But you don't oversaturate it. So, yeah, I completely agree. And he's becoming one of the most credible heels on 205 Live, but he actually can wrestle, so you can believe it. You can believe he can actually pull off the win, but you expect he's going to pull off something dirty, whether it's mind games, a thumb to the eye, or roll up tights. Only time will tell. But that's right now, I believe he's a credible challenger to Tony Nese. I really do.
And that's the biggest difference when you build somebody up properly. It's not like, for example, Finn Balor and Brock Lesnar. Nobody believed that Finn Balor was going to beat Brock Lesnar. Like I said, when you build up somebody that's credible, for example, and you build them up, you want that suspension of disbelief that you can believe, hey, this guy's going to pull off this win. He's going to be the one that beats the champion. You don't want to just have it so predictable like, oh, okay, it's Billy Joe Bob. Oh, Tony's going to beat Billy Joe Bob. Oh, who cares? You actually invested in who the challenger is, who the champion is, who his next opponent is. You are invested in it. And the difference is 205 Live makes it where any challenger to the title at any time could beat the champion to win that title.
Yeah. As we've learned at WrestleMania, which really has been the reset of 205 Live. And I'm very curious to see what happens after Money in the Bank. But speaking of before... What? Go ahead.
And I'm about to say, I'll have to admit I was wrong. Like I said, I didn't think Tony Nese was going to win that title. Didn't think he was going to win a tournament. But like I said, he's come a long way. He's becoming a credible champion. I said he's making me more and more a believer every week. And like I said, let's see how he continues to go. Let's see how successful he is as Cruiserweight champion. But as right now, I believe right now he's going to be the more dominant champion, hold that title for a while. But we'll have to see who his next few opponents are after he gets through Davari. But like I said, I'm not going to make my predictions yet, but let's see how this all shapes up and goes.
Good luck to you and the other 4 men of Aftermatch Wrestling in your predictions. I look forward to seeing it, and hopefully we crown a champ. Go follow Aftermatch Wrestling, folks. Anyway, main event, before and after. So let's go ahead and talk about the wild card shakeup, the nonsense, the oblivious, blah, 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 blah. So 205 Live lost two of their biggest names, Buddy Murphy and Cedric Alexander. What has happened since then? Cedric Alexander had a nice little match against Cesaro. Got beat by Cesaro, but you don't expect Alexander to win that, obviously, because Cesaro, he got moved from SmackDown Live to Raw as a singles competitor. Buddy Murphy, he is the best kept secret at 205 Live, and we're just waiting to see what happens with him. Nothing's happened yet, except I've learned, Chris, you know the cue. He and Alexa Bliss are no longer a couple, but they're still mutually good friends. All the best to both of them. Because, again, I respect people. It's just sometimes wrestlers I don't, depending on who they are and how they act. And then we got that exclusive, like you said, with Buddy Murphy. So I guess I'll ask you this. At this point, you know what? Let's just talk about each one. At this point, what do you see next with Alexander, or what do you think should be next with that guy?
Well, here's where I think the wild card could actually play in a favor. If they do it right, they could have Cedric Alexander appear on SmackDown and actually maybe rekindle, have a feud with Ali or set up some kind of match with Ali. Let the whole world, because everybody pretty much 205 Lives after SmackDown. Let's get Cedric Alexander a big win. Let's build him up a little bit because, yes, you had him debut on Raw. He fought Cesaro. I didn't expect him to win. But like I said, I was kind of really disappointed in that match. I wasn't really too excited about it. Good. I'm glad Cesaro win. Like I said, a little bit too late for him at that point as a singles run. They should have done something a long time ago.
Yeah, we got so short on that one. I was really expecting more, but again, it's Monday Night Raw, and it wasn't Roman Reigns involved.
I know, but like I said, they need to build Cedric Alexander up, and that would be a good way to showcase him on the main roster on national TV, how good he is. And with Buddy Murphy, like I said, it's kind of interesting. He hasn't officially appeared on SmackDown yet. They had that exclusive clip for anybody who watches YouTube. They had that exclusive clip where pretty much talking to Ali and pretty much trying to set up a feud with Ali. And like, okay, didn't we see this already? But then again, has a national audience who hasn't watched 205 Live seen it? No. So therefore, I think that would also be a good match. I think at this point, they're going to have Ali help build. Hopefully, they use Ali to help showcase these two guys, show how credible they are, and then they could build them up in the future stars pretty much on the main brand, because I could see a Buddy Murphy challenging Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship. I want to see Cedric Alexander, by who wins between Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio, challenge for the U.S. title. I want to see Cedric Alexander and Rey Mysterio have a match. I think that would be an awesome match to have. That could be a good storytelling, too. They could have some kind of little feud there from past greats from the past and the present. So let's have a damn good match for that.
Yeah. In my opinion, they just need to use these guys to help build your current roster, because these guys will take them to the limit, and everyone will be more respected and put over. Yeah, as far as Cedric Alexander, oh, man, he's in a tough spot. It's Monday Night Raw. You look at the setup there. You look at the Money in the Bank. God help us. Who could he actually have a good match with to put over besides Cesaro, if done right and given the time, that's currently on that roster? But then again, Wildcard, who the hell cares? I completely agree. If this wild card thing's a thing, I say you do Cedric and Ali. But like you said, if that exclusive tells us anything, but also this is main roster mentality, if they do the same thing they do with Robert Roode versus Ricochet, it's going to be pointless. And I can honestly see them doing that with Buddy Murphy and Ali next week. Because you're right, you did call out Ali. But again, this is the main roster. If you're not a star, we don't really care about you. So as far as what could happen, best for these two, oh, man, that's tough. I feel like it's easier for Buddy Murphy to probably get known and stabilized on SmackDown Live. And since we haven't seen anything from Aleister Black yet, I would set a match between those two.
Well, and you also brought up a good point, too. You're bringing up Ricochet, for example. That'd be a good matchup to have Ricochet versus Cedric Alexander, too. That'd be also another good, interesting feud.
He's already involved in like freaking Money in the Bank, so for all the high spots, obviously, I don't expect him to win the briefcase, because we all know the Money in the Bank has not been used to actually build a star for the last couple of years. It's been throwaway moments. But yeah, as far as those two, I would do Buddy Murphy against Aleister Black, and as far as Cedric Alexander, that's tougher. You know what? The hell. I would honestly like to see him step up to the plate and Seth Rollins. And that way you try and potentially build a new star. I remember one time Mojo Rawley answered an open challenge to the IC title for Seth Rollins. That was one of his best matches of the day and his only matches on the main roster. Then he faded away to obscurity. I feel like, though, Cedric and Seth could keep up the pace and give us more matches and a longer, compelling storyline after the Seth AJ thing is done. Because, again, the only reason Seth and AJ is a thing is because AEW Double or Nothing occurs the same week, and they're trying to get ratings.
That's true, but also they could also do something like they did in the past. We talked about this before, Seth Rollins. Everybody remembers it was Neville versus Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship at the time, and
Yeah.
that was a damn good match too. And everybody considered Neville, just before Neville was cruiserweight in 205 Live, but everybody considered him a small guy and a high flyer. And look at the match they both had. They had an incredible match. It came down to him going after to hit the red arrow. Like I said, that was an incredible match, and I think Seth Rollins and Cedric Alexander could have a really damn good match.
Yep. The bottom line is this: 205 Live matters, and I hope one day the Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live understands that, and I think like the day they will, Triple H will be in full control. What a glorious day that would be. Simple as that. All right. Well, I think that was a wonderful discussion tonight, and I think we pretty much key point takeaway. Folks, Triple H is the best thing for WWE's future. And I think that concludes tonight and a very great discussion. So as always, my friend Chris, thank you so much for joining me. Is there anything you want to plug, and where can people find you?
I was about to say, you could follow me at Christopher Edward Mace on Facebook. Support the Simple Man Noah Foster's channel here. Support Colin's new show, Chopping Block. He's just recently did episode 4. Good watch. I said Noah just recently posted something about, I haven't watched it all yet, about independent wrestling, which you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I say I haven't watched it all yet, so sorry about that. We did the show before I could watch it because he posted it a few minutes later. We did the show.
It's all good.
Sport Aftermatch Wrestling, as always. Stefan and Jerry. Support Cindy and all the hard work she does. I said sport, and let's make sure we support Owen and James. Like I said, they do a pretty good show as well, and I love their back and forth banter. It's always entertaining with both them. So,
Crazy
and always at last and lastly, support NoDQ.com. And as always, we all love wrestling. We all hate wrestling. Let's all respect each other's opinions about it, because at the end of the day, we all are pretty much here watching wrestling for entertainment. And like I said, let's respect everybody's opinions about it. Simple as that, as Noah would say.
Well done, sir. Well done. I fully agree and respect that. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know me, I'm just Simple Man and the current NoDQ and NoDQ NXT team wrestling predictions champion and a lifelong fan of wrestling. So if you want to follow me, you can look me up at nodq.com/Noah. That takes you to my Twitter, and I'll talk to you anything wrestling. Whether it's WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, Something Independent, Support Local Independent Wrestling folks, or anything in between, or even a topic or a wrestler or a superstar, whoever you call them. Feel free to look me up, at me, DM me, I don't care, comment me, I'll talk to you anything wrestling. As far as wrestling goes, stay tuned for more independent stuff from me, as I just put up something about an independent promotion in my hometown called Extreme Chaos Wrestling. It gives you a little bit of insight to what this promotion is all about, my predictions on the next show, which I will be looking at very shortly and going to, and also some insight into the independent wrestlers of today and the future stars of tomorrow that I'm come to learn and still learning about. So give it a check out if you can. And the official website's also in the video description below related to that video on my YouTube channel. Speaking of which, go follow my YouTube channel, youtube.com/users/NoahFoster210. I humbly am thankful for all you that have subscribed. I've reached 50. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Maybe I'll do more live stuff if I hit 100. We'll see. And speaking of that, stay tuned for more wrestling predictions and thoughts from me going forward, because I have no classes. I'm in the summer of wrestling. There is so much incredible wrestling going on right now. I might do predictions for upcoming episodes of Ring of Honor World of the Worlds, including the championship match between PCO and Matt Taven, along with GOD facing Jonathan Gresham and the former champion, Jay Lethal. Stay tuned also for my short bracketology video and predictions on this year's Best of Super Juniors. I should have that up probably this weekend. I will be watching all those episodes in their entirety and explain how the brackets work, so you all can join in as well. Stay tuned, of course, for NoDQ.com for our Money in the Bank predictions, where I'll be putting my title on the line against everybody. So far, I've been called out by Cindy and Caitlin. Bring it, ladies. And I'll be defending my title live on video, of course, against all of Team NoDQ. Speaking of which, go follow NoDQ.com. Buy a shirt, NoDQ.com/shirts. Follow the website here on YouTube. Aaron Riff, NoDQ.com. Go follow on Twitter at NoDQ.com. And go to the official website where you can interact with everybody because your opinions matter. And you can interact on anything. Polls, gifts, reviews, columns. It's actually female picks. You name it, it's wrestling, especially WWE. It's there. There's someone you agree with. There's someone you won't. But it's fun for everybody. And as always, oh, I almost forgot. Big one, too. I'm All Elite. Stay tuned for Team DQ, where I, Cindy, Chris, and another comer will also be doing predictions for AEW's Double or Nothing. We fully support this brand and look forward to this show. I already think the Casino Battle Royale is going to be one of the most power royales I've ever seen to date. And also stay tuned, of course, to the 25th NXT TakeOver, NXT TakeOver 25, where, of course, I will be defending my other title against the rest of NoDQ NXT, including this gentleman right here. It should be a fun predictions video, and I can't wait for that show. I'm probably going to binge watch all other NXTs before that because NXT TakeOvers, they never, ever disappoint. And that's really it for me. So as always, I'd like to close. Support your local wrestling outlets, both big and small, and let's keep growing this wrestling community together. Simple as that. With that, thank you so much for tuning in once again, and thank you so much for everyone who supports me and this guy right here and our stance on the Cruiserweight division and 205 Live, where we always will believe, hashtag 205 Live matters. With that, I hope you enjoyed this show. Like, share, retweet, subscribe, comment, dislike. Go ahead, criticize us, judge us, agree with us, question us, give us your all. Just come and support wrestling and support this brand. And until next week's video, where, of course, I will be doing another edition of 205 Live Matters with this gentleman right here and who knows who else. Take care, everybody. Take it easy. Respect one another. Continue enjoying wrestling and enjoy your summers. And have a good night.
All right, have a good night, y'all.
Yep, simple as that. Hey.